Hi, so this video is a quick attempt to introduce you to the main features and quirks and also the pitfalls of the electrical and heating and hot water system that was installed in the flats when they were new. Your landlord may have changed this, I don't know. The only thing that I've really changed I'll point out as I go along. Okay, so the main parts of the system. The first part is the boiler. This makes the hot water for your central heating and taps and baths, but not the showers, but I'll come to that. This is the big white tall thing, and it has a little control panel here which tells you if it's working okay. The next thing is the tank, which stores hot water overnight for you if you want. And there's something called an immersion heater, which makes extra hot water, but it's quite expensive to use and should only be really used as an overflow heater. The switch for that is labelled water heater, and it's right there. There's the timer unit, which sits over here, and I'll explain that later, but that's basically switching things on and off during the day. There's no thermostat or temperature control on it, which is a real pain. I fitted one, but your landlord may not have done. And the last thing is the meter. I have a dual rate meter, which allows me some cheap electricity overnight and through the day. You may want to get one of those. I think Ian has more information on that. Okay, so the first thing I would suggest is that if you've just moved in, take meter readings, get the numbers. For me, that involves two numbers, which I get by pushing this blue button. So I can go through the rate, rate 1, which is the expensive rate for me, and I push the button again and I get rate 2, which is my cheap rate consumption. So some people have 3 rates, and so you may need to keep 3 numbers. Okay, so the first thing is get your meter readings. The next thing, find out from your supplier how much you're paying per unit. So hopefully you won't find any nasty surprises. If you keep an eye on those numbers, you can work it out. Usually it's about 10 pence per unit for the cheap rate and 20 pence per unit for the more expensive rate. And again, you use that really just to heat. Well, what I do is basically I use the cheap rate stuff to heat water and radiators during the day when I've got cheap rate electricity, and I do things like dishwasher and washing machine in the cheap time as well, because they involve a lot of hot water. Okay, so the hot water for the taps and baths, but not the showers, is made by the boiler, and this is a little quirk here. I'll try to explain as I go along. The timer unit can be set to make hot water, and that's on the left hand side here. It says hot water advance, and you can push the select button, which advances this little arrow through the off, twice, once, and on select settings. If the thing is off, then obviously nothing will come on, you won't get any hot water. If it's on twice, then there are 2 periods during the day when it will come on and go off. I have mine set to come on, I think, quite early in the afternoon, and it goes off again an hour later, so I make about an hour's worth per day, and then it makes enough for us to use. Okay, so to change that, I'll go through that in a moment. The heating is over here, and so this is currently off, but when it gets really cold, I'll normally have it on twice or just on. Okay, so I'll explain very quickly the way you program hot water, and the same is true for the heating as well. So essentially, you can see right now it's set to twice. What I will do is push the set button, and it will ask me if I want to set the clock, which I don't. So I push the set again, and now it says program. So yes, I want to change the program, please. So I push the yes button. So now it offers me Monday to Friday, which I will say yes, I'll change Monday to Friday. Now it says central heating, that's the CH up here. No, I don't want to change the central heating. I want to push the set button again, and it will switch to hot water, HW. So that's fine. So I say yes, I'm changing now the hot water from Monday to Friday. So mine is set to come on at 1:40 PM, and if I push set again, it will say when it goes off. So it says HW on here, so I push set, it says HW off, 2:30 PM. So it's about an hour's worth of hot water, and that's fine for me, because I don't need it for baths so much, and the shower units have their own hot water system. So That's fine. So then I push it again, and it gives me the second period then of time that the thing can come on. Now I set it to 11:30 p.m. and if I push the button again for hot water on to make it hot water off, it's set to 11:30 p.m. off as well. So in fact there's no second time that it comes on. I just have it on once during the day. Right, so if I push set again, it will say it will go through program for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. I'm not interested in individual day settings, so that's fine. Push set again and then I get Saturday and Sunday. So if I wanted to change Saturday and Sunday, you should probably check. Then you can push yes and it goes central heating. No, I'm not interested in central heating. So hot water, yes, and it's set to come on at 1:40 p.m. hot water on. And if I push set again, it will go off at 3 p.m. so it makes slightly more hot water on the weekend. And then 5 p.m. on and 5 p.m. off, so the second period is not used. Okay, so then it will push set again and it will go back to Saturday individually and Sunday, and then it will go back to test, and then I push set and then holiday, it asks me, no, and then it goes cycle once more and it goes back. So right, that's the quick guide to hot water. That will make the hot water using this big boiler, and it will make it, if you set the timer right to the point where it will make the hot water in the cheap period of electricity, which is useful. Okay, something that's a bit quirky about this that you should know about is that when it's on, what we have is, I'll just take a picture here so you can see, it's a sealed unit hot water system which requires a kind of buffer, a bypass, which is labelled here. And that has to be open, and what that is allows the water to flow through the boiler in a circuit as it's making hot water. And the bypass is actually rigged in my flat, and probably yours too, to be the hall radiator. So what you'll notice is when you're making hot water, the hall radiator will get warm, but no other radiators should get warm. But it's important that that hall radiator is not shut off, because otherwise the bypass won't work and the boiler will just give you an error signal. And in fact what will happen is that little supply green light there will go red. We know from experience that that's what happens. Okay, so you have a pressurized hot water system that needs a bypass. The whole radiator will get hot as you make hot water. Okay, the programming for the heating is essentially the same as the hot water. You can use the select button and the set yes and so on to program the heating. There's not much else to say really, apart from the only confusing thing really that I haven't mentioned is that the twice setting allows the unit to come on and off twice during the day. The once setting will allow it to come on at the earliest point and go off at the latest point. So in my example for hot water, if I had it set to once, it would come on at 1:40 p.m. and go off at 11 p.m. So that I don't want that, so I never use the once setting unless basically I want it on almost all day. You might want to do that with the heating, but that's essentially the guide for that. So I think that's the main points covered. Hopefully you won't incur any nasty surprises, and that's how it's supposed to work.